And we're back! Howdy y'all, this is Ethan Bonreal playing Oracle of Ages, and last time we were here, we started off the Skull Dungeon after returning the Toonie Nut to Symmetry City, and now what we're doing is progressing more through the Skull Dungeon, so yeah. Sorry for for being MIA again. Oh dicks. Finals happened, and get back over there. Finals happened, and basically I was preoccupied with that and doing stuff for the GLBTQ group, and I have a job now, so I just didn't really have that much time. Also, I wasn't feeling that great, but now I'm in a pretty wonderful mood. I'm done with classes for this semester, and done with finals. I believe is what I need to do. Oh yeah, perfect shot. Well, anyway, I'm done with classes and finals, and so basically I'm just hanging out in my room. My roommate's gone, and so consequently I'm just violently throwing myself against everything in our... What am I doing? Oh, I need to change the switch. Absolutely. Actually, no, I don't. No, I don't. See, it's been a while since I recorded, so I forgot which way I came from. But, yeah, violently throwing myself against things in our room and doing backflips and all that shit. But now that I've calmed down, I'll go ahead and record a video. So yeah, how have y'all been doing? If you're still watching these, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna actually try to record a bunch in bulk like I used to. FYI, if you didn't know, when I first started doing these videos, I actually was pretty... That might have been dumb of me. I was actually pretty good at updating regularly, and it's in part because I just recorded in bunches. But then after classes started for college, I basically just kind of started slacking off on that because I had other responsibilities and I just wasn't feeling that great. But now everything is all grand and dandy. Get out of here. Alright. But as I said, I hope y'all have been well. I'm going to hope that... Oh my god, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm assuming I need to be going this way, and that there wasn't some sort of puzzle in that previous room. But I hope y'all have been doing well. So far, I'm gonna die. No? No, yep, dead. Oh, I'm so terrible at this game. At least I'm consistent. I've died in, I think the last 3 videos I've died. I might be over-exaggerating. I think it's at least 3, though. And in the very least, I've died in the last dungeon, too. But, yeah! It's good to be back, y'all. It's good to be back. And as far as what's on my mind right now, what the fuck? Okay, that's how I get across here. No! I'm so terrible. As far as what's on my mind when I stop being horrible at this game. So, you know what, I'm not even gonna talk about that yet, but, I had an interesting scenario happen in my GLBTQ group, that isn't actually too atypical for a lot of situations like that, where, basically, we kinda got into an argument about something, and it started off pretty benign. It was basically, the situation is, in our GLBTQ group, we have these things called caucuses, which are basically subsections of the group that cater specifically to specific identities, and they're member-run. And they basically exist because it's kind of in vogue, or not really in vogue, really, currently in the movement to kind of have things like this for people of specific identities, because what really ends up happening in a lot of organizations is that, either gays or lesbians make up the bulk of an organization, and they're basically, their needs are the ones that are addressed. And that's all really either they talk about or they put their energy towards, which makes sense in a way, in part because not make sense as in right or wrong, but just makes sense as, I mean, people generally, so it seems to me at least, are more interested in pursuing their own needs. And so it kind of makes sense that you have to kind of actively stop people from doing that by creating a way for people, or at least acknowledging it, or creating a way for people to basically get some sort of power for themselves within a group. So that's basically the situation. In fact, I could talk about that a little more. I remember the first time I really... Actually, going back, so I'm actually a really big history buff in as far as the GLBTQ movement in the United States of America goes. And one of the consistent things is that groups that have multiple identities in them, even if it's just gays and lesbians, period, they tend to have a very short lifespan, in part because spoilers, be ready, or tell me if you don't know this already, but gay men actually can be very patriarchal and homophobic. Well, yeah, actually homophobic, but sexist also themselves. And it kind of can be annoying if you are a woman in a group where you're supposed to be fighting for, I guess, equality in air quotes, and then you have these gay men being like, well, I just want to talk about dicks. Well, I mean, that's actually really oversimplifying it. I actually apologize for using that reference, but in some regard, that's actually not particularly untrue, because admittedly, there are gay men whose primary concern for going to social things like this is to meet other men, which is completely fine, but that's not really the only issue. Like, some things like people making very rude comments about female bodies, or particular female, or what are viewed as female let's try that again. Female reproductive organs? Dicks! Female reproductive organs? This is really hard on a keyboard. Female reproductive organs. I.e. vaginas. Sometimes gay men are like, ew, you have a vagina, that's disgusting. And that's cute and all. I mean, we know you're gay, and that's not necessarily what you're attracted to. But saying, like, things like basically treating it like it's the spawn of Cthulhu is decidedly it can be a very hurtful thing for some people, because society doesn't kind of go out of its way to make... Let's stop being bad. Okay, yeah, let's just... Okay. Oh my god. Ah! This keyboard's so horrible. One of these days I'm gonna get a gamepad. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. But anyway, it's just not a happy environment, because society makes women feel bad about their bodies already. Or just even female-bodied people. And when I say female-bodied, I mean people who are perceived as female. Or whose bodies might have been in the past female, so... It's just very complicated. And then, that's a pretty consistent thing throughout history, is that a lot of, not even just lesbians, but gay men and women have been in conflict a lot in political arenas like this, because gay men, like many men, are still actually in a lot of ways very socially conservative, which is not to say it's just a man thing, but gay men are a lot more like straight men than heterosexual women, for the most part, and at least in my opinion, in terms of a lot of the ways they behave, which I guess makes sense, in part, because gay men are usually enculturated as males, but we'll see how just things work out in a lot. I need to take the other thing eventually. I'll do that later, though, because I'm pretty sure it's just like a geisha nut or some shit. I don't think it's anything important. Hope no one's screaming at me in the comments that I need to get that now, but whatever. Woo! Got it again. So that's the basic background. Just there's already conflict across gender lines and body expression lines, and then now I guess organizations, or at least people, have noticed that, and they make it a point to like acknowledge that really one group is probably going to end up dominating the other, and caucuses are basically, well, not all organizations call them caucuses, but situations like that basically exist so people can have a safe space within these organizations, or a way to like really talk about their own identities. Because again, also one of the things about really, I guess, being diverse and sensitive to other identities in general, even if you are the majority, is that you really might not get to talk about your own identity and your own experiences as much as you want to with other people of that same identity in a safe environment. And so that's just kind of a response to that. Well, anyway, that we have that whole situation going. We have caucuses, and basically there was some conflict because, as it so happens, the Gay Men's Caucus in our organization actually had been able to reserve rooms while the others hadn't, and that kind of caused some problems when people realized that. And by problems, I mean people were kind of mad because in part, it's because it's one of the environments. One of the things about the GLBTQ movement is that it's historically been dominated by the needs of gay men. And a lot of people are becoming aware of this. And so right now, a lot of the environment is basically people got pissed. And we decided what we were going to do about it as officers in the organization. And words were exchanged. What am I doing? And feelings might have been hurt. That actually was the real issue there, is that, well, not real issue, but the solution in itself was easy enough. I mean, we agreed that things needed to change. The real issue was part of the language used by both sides. Oh god. The language... Shit! The language used by both sides was decidedly, one that wasn't, language not conducive to peaceful argument. And what I mean by that is there anything I can move in here to... Shit. Fuck! This dungeon is hard, holy shit. Or rather, that's a really hard setup to go with, because, I mean, maybe it's just the keyboard, but it's really hard to, like, jump and angle how I'm jumping at the same time, so that I can get there in enough time to really deal with that, but whatever. Stop it. Okay, anyway. Shit! Oh my god, I'm so terrible. Okay, I'm gonna stop being bad, I promise you, get away from me, Keys. This is a real shame, because I don't want everyone thinking I'm horrible. I'm gonna leave that in. I want everyone thinking I'm horrible, but goddamn. Oh well, anyway. So that happened, and the language that used caused some problems. Basically, what happened was that people were kind of called out on their privilege, and the way that it was done, at least in my opinion, my humble opinion, made people feel like people were being very spiteful when the people who questions were being aimed at. This is actually a very vague way to explain. Basically, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and stop being bad now. I promise you. I guess it's because I'm getting really involved in the conversation too, but... basically, decidedly most of the officers are gay males, and we got called out a bit on our privilege in having that situation when all the other caucuses for the other identities don't really get to reserve rooms. And we were all up for, like, solving that problem, because we agreed it was completely unfair that only one segment of our organization gets to reserve rooms to use. But the way that our privilege was mentioned made it seem like people were purposely being obstructive in finding a solution. And it was just a very grating situation, because I don't think they even did it on purpose, it was perceived that way. And it was felt like while we were coming up with solutions that people were completely just rejecting any possible solution that we threw out just because of our identity and the privilege we have. But at the same time, that actually wasn't the case. It was just kind of ill-worded, in my opinion. Because, I mean, we're all fine now, and we resolved everything. I think people were also just upset because it was finals. And it doesn't help that one of the big issues was we were talking over the internet while people were in class. And that made, like, understanding each other and being clear about the points we were trying to make very, very hard to work with. So basically that happened, and what I learned from that was basically it's better to talk to people face to face, and that, you know what I also noticed? It fucking is very dehumanizing to be called privileged when there's a, hold on, don't get upset. When it's not, like, acknowledging your identity as a whole, but a particular part of it, and there's an assumption that there's always oh hey, it's the dungeon map. A single dynamic of power that lies within someone's identity. So I'm actually we didn't make any progress besides getting the map. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. I'll catch y'all later. Have a good one, y'all.